Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Billy G, general manager of the Minnesota Wild, set to join us shortly from the Couve. Wild play the Vancouver Canucks tomorrow evening. Welcome back to 9 to noon. I got a little quiet there because I just found Channel 45 and Andover and Stillwater circumnavigating their parts of the rink, getting ready for the first AA state high school hockey game of the day, Shakopee and St. Thomas Academy. They will follow the Stillwater Andover games. And once again, former member of the Wild, Jordan Leopold, along with another former NHLer, Thomas Vanek. They're both assistant coaches for these high school hockey teams, but we'll get to that momentarily because the GM has joined us from Vancouver. Bill Guerin, Paul Allen, how are you?
Good morning.
Hey, Bill, who's, if you don't mind me asking, like from a staff standpoint, like who's with the trade deadline tomorrow? Who's in Vancouver with you? Is it like the full staff arsenal to get ready for the deadline?
Pretty much, yeah. I have all three assistant GMs, Matt Sells, Mike Murray, Chris Kelleher. Matt Hendricks is here, Brad Bombardier, Judd Brackett, all of our pro scouts are here. And, yeah, that's it. We got a full arsenal of brain power.
Obviously, each person has a role, or there are delegated roles and designed roles from you, the general manager. And it's not like they just pop up, hey, Brad, I want you to do this all of a sudden. But when you come to this time with the deadline tomorrow, teams still playing, winning this road record in the NHL, and man, there have just been some amazing, fascinating things with your team this year that impressed me. But like when it comes to roles, how intense does it get as the deadline approaches?
You mean roles within the staff?
Yeah, roles within the staff.
Yeah, I mean, listen, these guys are all they're all experts in their region. They see hundreds of games every year. They know the players on other teams. Up, down, sideways. They know everything about them. And so when we're talking about, a team in the East, Mark Mowers and Chris Kelleher will know, and they're the ones that are doing most of the commenting if they feel the player will work.
Right.
You kind of stay in your region, if that makes, but everybody kind of knows. So we really just talk it over. It's there's no real science to it.
Is it enjoyable or is it more more anxiety filled to really not appreciate the enjoyment until it's done?
No, I love it. It's a cool time of year. There's a lot of adrenaline. There's a lot of excitement, and I think it's fantastic.
So with Bjorkstrand and Gord, okay, that deal, Seattle and Tampa Bay, would as the NHL goes, would that be considered a big deal, kind of a big deal, a middling deal? Like, what would a deal like that be considered?
Well, that's a big deal because back in the day, like in the 80s and 90s, you would see trades that, like, I remember, like, 4 for 4, like 4 players for 4 players, or 2 for 2 happened all the time. But like, you rarely see guys getting packaged up like that nowadays, and going to one team together. and then, multiple first-round picks, which are very valuable. But that was a big deal.
Okay, so, and I bring up the name Yanni Gourde simply because in studying this kind of stuff and reading a bunch of things over the last 2 weeks, I would see people write about his name and or write his name, and like Dylan Cousins, and there are players who are like, hey, outside of this market, there would be media reports that be like, this is a Bill Guerin kind of player. It doesn't mean the guy is, because you didn't say it. But like Yanni Gourde, you played him the other night, then he gets traded. Is that like the type of player that maybe you'd be looking for before the deadline?
Yeah. I mean, he was too expensive for us. We weren't going to give first round picks, but I love that kid. He he came up from the ECHL all the way through, and he just competes like crazy. And that's it. Even the other night against us, he was very, very effective, in just his compete level alone. And that's what I love about him. So yeah, he is my type of guy, and yeah, that's some type of guy that I would love to.
Okay.
Would love to add.
Yeah. So I'm looking down the right road when I'm trying to play this game with you. And I'm certainly not going to put you in a spot to share any secrets, but you, if one went hunting for centerman depth, is it potentially a bountiful trade market?
No.
Okay. Now, and here's something that confuses me, and I apologize for not knowing how to explain it, but like the long term, the Kaprizov and Eriksson Ek, and the money you all of a sudden could have or have used on, I don't know, Gustav Nyquist, Hinostroza, whatever. How much does that play into the trade deadline, and how much does it complicate it?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's complicated just because you don't really know. You have to be safe and make sure you have cap space for everybody to come back. You want to improve your team, but you really got to just kind of move carefully, and make sure you're not putting yourself in a bad spot.
Right. Bill Guerin, general manager of the Minnesota Wild from Vancouver. His personnel staff is there with the trade deadline, coming up tomorrow. Then they play Vancouver. Speaking of that, Bill, it's maybe I've asked you this before, but I mean, like the room, the players and stuff like that. Can players talk too much about this, or maybe conceive, wow, man, I mean, I might be part of this, or I really like it here and I don't want to leave. And like you or Hines or somebody has to not let players overthink things, and make things up in their own minds that may not even be true before the deadline passes.
Yeah, you really want to, just make sure that the guys are focused. I mean, in today's day and age, a lot of them have trade protection anyways. I remember my first trade deadline, and we were all kind of like after practice, and the actual deadline was approaching, and you're looking around, kind of stretching on the ice afterwards, and you're wondering which one of the guys is going to come over and get a tap on the shoulder from the coach and say the GM wants to talk to you. It can be a very nerve-wracking day,
right?
Especially if you're happy in a place. But you know what? We try to just keep the guys focused, on the task at hand.
Do you anticipate much action up to the mid-afternoon deadline tomorrow? Not necessarily just with you guys, but just action. You do?
Yeah, I do. I do. I think it's going to be relatively busy today and tomorrow. But we'll see.
You guys have the best road record in the game, and are 2 road victories away from setting a franchise record that I believe goes back to 2014. That's really cool, man. It's just part of the fascination with, Kaprizov, in, out. Who knows when he returns? Likewise for Ek. Now you got Brodin, you had Spurgeon, and so on during the course of the year, man. What are some things that impress you with the squad this year, Bill?
Yeah, I think just the resiliency that they've had, through another injury-plagued season, and not to, not to just anybody. A lot of our top players, So I give the guys a lot of credit. The coaches have done a really good job, and the players have really focused in on how they have to play and what it takes to win and all those things. So the resiliency is the biggest thing for me.
Vinny Hinostroza has 4 goals in 8 games since you made the move to get him. How'd you pull off that gem? And I mean, it's not like, he's going to go 8 goals in 16 games and so on, but who says he can't? That was fantastic, man, and needed because of the things transpiring around him, just needed right now. How'd you pull that off?
Yeah, I mean, another great waiver wire pickup by our pro staff, and that's one of those things. Just like Declan Chisholm, my phone rings. It's Matt Sells and Chris Kelleher and Mike Murray, and they're just like, hey, look, we feel like Hinostroza is the guy that can help us. We should pick him up. We can fit him, and it's all coming from the boots on the ground guys, the scouting staff, and they recommend that to me, and we did it, and it's worked out so far, and we just want to make sure he keeps going. He's been great. That's
fantastic. So truly, you guys don't know if and or when you're going to get Kaprizov or Eriksson Ek back, right? I mean, right. Yeah, truly, it's a big question mark, and that just makes things so difficult on many levels heading down the stretch. But hey, squad's doing pretty well. Is it hard making? We haven't chatted since the Four Nations. Other than the dramatic finish and how it finished, what was it all you thought it would be, Bill?
Oh, it was way more. It was way more than I thought it would be.
How?
It was just, because the players put so much into it. The players are the ones that kind of drove the bus on it, and they look. There was no exhibition. That was real hockey, and they cared, and they were all playing for their flag, and it was awesome. It was couldn't have been any better. We could have won, but for the sport of hockey, I think it just did so much.
What'd you think of Boldy in those games?
Hey, he's great.
Yeah, he was great. So scrappy and tenacious, right?
Yeah, he was awesome. I mean, that's the way he can play.
Yep. Two more here, Bill, because I know you're busy. Alexander Ovechkin has 885 goals, 10 from passing Gretzky for the most in NHL history. You played against both of them, man, Ovi and the great one. Is it possible to identify which overall is the better player and why, Ovechkin and Gretzky?
Well, I mean, I think Gretzky. I mean, Ovi's listen, what he is doing right now is absolutely amazing. He is incredible. He's going to break the record, but I mean, Wayne was just, he's Wayne.
Yeah.
He's, I forget how many points. He's got 2,800 points.
Yeah.
Number 2 on the all-time list is 1,000 points behind him.
Right. Yeah. And I understand. So go ahead.
That's how great he was.
Right. But
just think about that. Number 2 all time is 1,000 points behind him.
I understand, but and I agree with you, and as do pretty much everybody when I was reading stuff on this. I understand that. The game's so much different now. Ovechkin, don't you think Ovechkin has had to push through different facets of the game? From rules changes and size and speed and conditioning and all that, compared to the time Wayne played, or is that a bad take?
That's a bad take.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought.
Because Wayne had to do it too.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought when I started.
Wayne had to do it through the 70s, through the 80s, through the 90s.
Yeah.
So, and the game changed. The game, went from, wide open, wide open kind of hockey in the 80s to the clutch and grab era of the 90s.
Right.
With the trap and all that stuff. So, there was, he went through his changes of the sport as well.
Next 20 some odd hours, last one. Without mentioning a name or names, obviously, is there one or are there one or two players potentially available you really, really, really hope you can get? Yeah, there are. Which conference? Just kidding. All right, have Hey, have a great day. Thank you very much for the time.
You too, buddy. Have a great day. Good getting caught up with you.
We have a Vox in the Box from Tria next Thursday. Stop by if you get time, okay?
Okay, buddy.
Yep, see you, man. Bill Guerin, general manager for the Minnesota Wild. Super cool. Speaking of super cool, we had Jordan Leopold on the radio show earlier today. You know, Leo and Johnny Paul. Leo is an assistant coach for the Andover Huskies high school hockey team, a 7 seed in AA. Stillwater is a 2 seed in AA. And there's drama into this game in that it has a compelling side to it that outsiders wouldn't know, and that would include me, in that the Stillwater goalie, a young man named Cal Conway, was the Andover goalie forever, and then he left. And now he's playing against all his dogs, trying to advance to Saturday. And they're playing each other right now, and we have Halvey on the call.
Here's tournament. There will be only one TV timeout coming at the halfway point.
Oh, is that Halvey?
The last couple of years, it's been 2 TV timeouts.
Couple opportunities off a face-off. Stillwater thwarted in their efforts, and then it's taken by Andover, fired on goal from just outside the blue line, and gloving it is Cal Conway face-off coming up in the Stillwater zone.
Yeah, very easy save there for Cal Conway. He is yet to be tested in this game.
That game is on KFAN Plus. I believe it's on KFAN Plus.
96.7 KFAN the Plus, indeed.
Stillwater has a 1-0 lead. Thomas Vanek's kid, an assist to the single tally in this game, 7 minutes into it. And best of luck to Halvey as Stillwater continue. Yeah, we got to go to break because I'm just going to sit here and watch it and talk about it. now Andover is a 3-on-1. There's a shot on the former teammate Conway, and he saves it with 12:49 to go in the first period. All right, so listen to Halvey on KFAN the Plus, and best of luck to Andover, Stillwater, and all the other teams playing in AA state high school hockey in that tournament today. 9 to noon continues after this.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18 plus.
Top of the arc, 3 on the shot clock. Working on Jackson. Step back 3. Short. Rebounded by Wells. Shot clock turned off. Wells has a breakaway. Goes to the rim. No! No!
What'd he do?
Taylor Jenkins. They say he asked for
Don't get a technical.
timeout.
Don't get a technical.
Oh, Jenkins was backing away from the timeout. Wells had a breakaway. Marat Kogut says the Grizzlies called a timeout.
Marat Kogut. That's a call by Memphis Grizzlies longtime radio voice, Eric Hasseltine. And when I heard it, I was like, man, I've been there. I know what you're talking about.
Van Vliet, top of the arc, 3 on the shot clock. Working on Jackson. Step back 3. Short. Rebounded by Wells. Shot clock turned off. Wells has a breakaway. Goes to the rim. No! No! No!
What'd he do?
What'd he do? Credit
I'd like to burn that tape, by the way. Everybody plays
Oh, you would?
now.
I've been wanting to burn that Arizona Sun Devil Stadium. Here it is, the season's on the line bit for 21 years. So
I remember. It was a great call.
Just embrace it.
We all are hypercritical of ourselves when we're caught in the moment cheering for our teams because people don't understand when you're not doing national. Turns out the team pays us, and so we would like to see them win because it's better for all of us. And
involved.
Well,
but,
congratulations to you that you're actually on the team payroll, because I'm not, which which has a pension side to it. We can talk about off the microphone. But
yeah, absolutely.
Nevertheless, when I'd prefer not to talk about it because I hate it. But nevertheless, Eric Hasseltine, radio play-by-play voice for the Memphis Grizzlies. When I heard that call, I immediately thought of the anguish through which you were going, specifically this time of the season, where the Wolves have 18 games to go, Memphis right around there, Western Conference is all jumbled, and I want to get into all that momentarily. But for the purpose of the call, and because I listen to you all the time on NBA radio, I'm a fan of yours from afar, and you know that. And, it was cool when the Wolves played the Grizzlies in the playoffs. You came in studio and stuff, man. But you do a really good job. And because Alan Horton is filling in for Grady Sunday night and doing TV with Jim Peterson, somehow, some way, the Wolves graciously asked me to call the game on KFAN Sunday night at 7. So I've never called an NBA game. I've never called a Wolves game. You're one of the first people I thought of to just call and say, what's key? Like what's key to what you do? And good morning.
Well, first of all, I appreciate the kind words. I listen to you on a regular as well whenever NFL is rolling around. Thankfully for that Sirius satellite radio, and text you quite oftenly going, hey, listen, great call, because I enjoy it, even though, as we all know, I'm a Packer fan, but I love the way you bring the energy to the game. So, listen, you're a pro, brother. You know how this goes, and it's pretty much the same as down and distance and score and setup of the positioning. It's a little different, obviously, because football stops every play and basketball's free flowing, but it's always ball position, time and score. Don't try to, there's going to be a pass you miss or two because the game moves so fast. And,
right.
You'll find it. You'll find your rhythm, and at first you'll probably get to that first time out and go, gosh, I'm horrible. And you're not. You're not at all. And that's the thing I try to, when I get that question from young announcers, they're like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I'm like, just be you. What's wrong with just being you? The you that got you the gig is the you that's gonna make this work for you. So, I think that's a really good team. You have who are they playing Sunday night, by the way?
San Antonio, Stephon Castle.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. You probably know mostly a lot about the Wolves. Like that's where you read up on the other team. And people always ask me about my prep. I'm like, it's easy to prep with the Grizzlies. If the Grizzlies were running a scrimmage against each other, I could show up blind because I know what there is to know about these guys because I'm around them on a daily basis. But when you don't see San Antonio, dive in, things like that, you know how to prep. And it's more intense prep when you're in the NFL because you have 5 times as many guys, and you never know if a third string lineman's going to come in and save the day. So, man, I think you'll find that rhythm. I wish I was able to listen because we'll be playing at the exact same time, but I'm sure I'll try to find a way to sneak a gander or not on the telephone.
Free throw line extended or elbow? Does it have to be elbow every time?
No, you can do free throw line extended, but if it's on the wing, I always use the elbow because I think it gives the better picture of where the ball is. So if you're at the left elbow, people that understand basketball will know that that's, 15, 17 feet out. But the other factor is, I'm sure there's a lot of Vikings listeners that don't have the inner knowledge and workings of, football terminology the way someone, that's seen as many games as you have does. So you sometimes just say, I've got to call this game for the one guy that's never listened to basketball. And you might take some heat from a guy going, hey, I'm not an idiot. Okay, well, you're one of like thousands listening, and the others that don't understand what a high pick and roll really is, we might have to explain that a little bit more. And so I just
love that.
As you know, you're never going to please everybody, and you'll get guys calling you going, hey, stick to football, and you get other guys going, oh my God, you're the greatest announcer ever. We need to get you on there more full time. And Alan does a great job. We all know that. And Grady's super talented and such a good dude. You got a great crew up there.
Agreed.
But I just don't listen. I mean, I've got enough people in my world that tell me what a 4-letter word I am. with 3 letters than 4 letters I am, but I don't listen to them either. So it is what it is.
So when they asked me, I asked for an analyst. I mean, I could have done it by myself, but I'm like Kevin Lynch, who works for FanDuel up here, and formerly in the NBA. Kevin and I are close friends. So he's going to call the game with me. Now, listening to you the other night, correct me, do you have 2 analysts with you?
I have 2 different analysts, one at home and one on the road.
I see.
So it's 2 different guys, which can make for 2 different styles, and you have to make that adjustment. And then sometimes on the road, I don't have anybody. So, there's 3 different ways to call the game. We do have a studio host, and I know Cal does that for you guys, and he does a great job. I really like the way the Wolves run their broadcasts, both television and radio. Always have. That's a source you can rely on coming out of the breaks, given the live reads, and you can just focus on the game. And we kind of went to that model just because we have a fantastically talented young woman who does our pregame and postgame. She's been in television, and then when she joined us, I was like, we need your voice to become common to our fans. So this is what your duties and responsibilities are if you're comfortable with that. And she said, absolutely, thank you. And, gave her more responsibilities as the time went along. So, I always joke and say, hey, it was just all about delegating and trying to do, not as much, but it truly was getting Jessica's voice out there. So now it's my responsibilities are doing the coach's interview and then a little segment just before tip, and the rest of it is hers because that's her position. So, you with that football background understand about getting your color guy in. Sometimes in basketball, it's a little tough. If the team pulls it out of the net and running the other way, you just got to go, hey, I'm going to handle this. And, I'm sure your color analyst will understand that there might not be a time to jump in, because what you don't want is analyzing a play, a team's running back the other way, even if the Wolves or the Spurs that night, and you hear the crowd roar and the listeners going, what just happened?
Yep.
That's the key.
Okay. Well, just 2 to go here, Eric. Thank you for the help. So Kevin and I are getting together tomorrow night. We're going to watch the Wolves Miami Heat game together. And it's not like we're going to call it off TV, because I'm not as far down the road on the Heat numbers and body types and intel and all that as I am the Spurs. And clearly we are taking this very seriously. So when it comes to working with an analyst, do you think the best time to naturally have an analyst flow in on the radio is say, Stephon Castle, 15-footer, right baseline, it's good, and the Wolves lead by 2. And you stop there, and then also during free throws, right?
Yep.
Okay.
But even with free throws, you got to make sure that. So one of my analysts likes to keep going during free throws, and then the play starts, and I'm kind of giving them without being rude, hey, we move it, let's go, here we go. It's back to live action. So don't be afraid to do that either. It's never personal. But yeah, you don't want to overanalyze and indulge me in this story for a moment. But when I first took over, when we had the tragic passing of our television announcer who had been our radio announcer, Don Ployer, I was working with Sean Toohey of Blindside fame. And Sean and I were good friends. We had worked together since, the first 3 seasons. He was the analyst for Don on the radio and then stayed on radio. And we came out of a play, I think we were in Cleveland, and I called the play, and then I said, yeah, it looked like a high ball screen and a quick roll, and, the Grizzlies got the open shot. Sean, what did you think? And he goes, I think if you keep doing that job too, then I'm going to be out of work. So don't let me analyze the play while you call it. And all we could do was laugh because he was 100% correct. But it was just, nerves of a young announcer getting the opportunity that I'd always hoped for and trying to show what I knew when you don't have to do that. And I learned that over the years. Let the analyst analyze and just call the action. And if you have an insight, then that's when the conversations flow.
Right.
During timeouts or out of timeouts or during free throws. And that's when that to me, that's when content gets really good. When you have 2 guys that work together and understand one another and are looking for the greater good of it all. And that's when it becomes fun.
Amen. I'm up against it, but I need your best 30 seconds on this to the game itself. So you lose Jaren Jackson, who's a game changer for several weeks, 3 weeks. Ja's in and out, and he was in last night. When he doesn't play, Kennard plays well. It's just so many moving pieces with your Grizzlies right now. Currently the 4 in the West. How wide open do you think the West is when it comes to getting to the championship? And how tenuous is home court advantage in holding on to it for Memphis?
I think it's huge for any team. I don't think it's as wide open because I think the Thunder are clearly the team to beat, but you do have opportunities, and losing those guys, you're trying to avoid having to go to whoever the 5 seed is. The top 5 seem pretty solid. The next, 5 are kind of a toss-up right now, especially with what happened in Dallas. But there's no question that Oklahoma City is the team to beat, and to go through them is not going to be an easy task for anybody, whether it's Denver, the Lakers, the Rockets, the Grizzlies, the Timberwolves, who are playing much better. The West is a gauntlet, man. It is brutal. It's like the NFC North. You got all these great teams that just beat up on each other. And then come playoff time, it's going to be who's the healthiest and who's catching their rhythm at the right time.
Hey, man, might bring my son down to Tennessee for that third to last game of the season, Wolves and Grizzlies. If I do,
Please do.
We'll definitely hook up and just say hello, okay?
Yeah, let me know. I'll get you guys taken care of, all set up, get you into the ball game, and we'll catch up face to face, my brother.
Thanks, Eric. You're awesome.
Got you, Paulie. Thanks, bro.
Eric Hasseltine, play-by-play voice for the Memphis Grizzlies. Back after this.
Hey, it's Ryan Seacrest. Life comes at you fast, which is why it's important to find some time to relax. A little you time. Enter Chumba Casino. With no download required, you can jump on anytime, anywhere for the chance to redeem some serious prizes. So treat yourself with Chumba Casino and play over 100 online casino-style games, all for free. Go to ChumbaCasino.com to collect your free welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
I can't wait until tomorrow, 'cause tomorrow might very well be too late.
Abby Murphy?
Hi.
Abby, my name's Paul Allen. This is 9 to noon at KFAN. This is Abbey Murphy, who is a stud for Brad Frost's Golden Gophers women's hockey team. Via the X machine, via Twitter, she's at Abby18 Murphy. Abby's with an EY. And the WCHA final face-off takes place tomorrow, I think 4:30, something like that, middle of the afternoon, versus Ohio State in Duluth at Amsoil up in Duluth. Now, Abby, it's good to meet you, and you're probably wondering where this request came from, right?
Yeah, Paul, thanks for having me. It's really cool. Parker told me about it. Really cool to be on the show. So, explain it.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can make it a habit, but I mean, I just knew when this whole process started a couple of days ago, she's going to be like, what? Who? Where? Why? Well, I have a friend named Johnny the Mouse Mickelson, who was a fan of your team and specifically your game. And he suggested it, not only because of how you play, but just like the gregarious nature of your personality. So I'm like, cool. I had heard your name, but, hadn't realized how accomplished you were. And I've known your coach for 20 years. So Frosty and I have known each other for some time. So what I did after Mouse was like, hey, they got this big one against Ohio State coming up. You should contact Abbey Murphy. We did through PR. Here we are. But then I called Taylor Heisey. And I know Taylor and Parker quite well. That's your former teammate, and she had cool things to say about you. So I'm like, let's roll with it. And I want to thank you very much for helping us on the 9 to Noon radio show, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. Happy to be a part of it. Thanks for having me.
I think it's cool. And some of these highlights I've seen of you, man, you're scrappy, and I want to get into that in a little bit. And now, Johnny the Mouse Mickelson, formerly captain of the 83 Wayzata Club hockey team. Yes, he wore the C for a club hockey team. He wants me to ask you to start. Are you familiar with an old school NHL player named Kenny the Rat Linseman?
I probably shouldn't I? But no, I am not.
That's fine, and that was the expected answer. He played for the Flyers, I think the Bruins, definitely the Oilers. Okay, so remember the name, Kenny the Rat Linseman. He averaged 30 goals, 40 assists, and 150 penalty minutes a season. You see where I'm going here? During his 100%. Career, and you know what? When Mouse tells me Abby plays like Kenny the Rat, it's a compliment. He's a loyal fan and he knows more about it than me, and he's followed hockey closer than me over the decades. So, I mean, it's a compliment to be compared to like somebody who had a lot of penalty minutes during their career, but had a long career and also cared about others, made others better, scored goals. That's a compliment, isn't it?
I mean, I hope so. Like I said, I don't know this guy, but, you add a little bit of personality to your game, adding those penalty minutes up. But sometimes it's not always a good thing. Sometimes it's not always a bad thing, but that's awesome. Hopefully it's a good thing, though.
So if Taylor told me you were queen of the penalty box, but she said it affectionately, would that bug you? I mean, like, does that bug you?
It doesn't bug me. It depends how people are talking about it. I think a lot of people can see it in a negative thing, in a negative way. For me, I sometimes struggle with it. But like, that's not my game. That's not all about my game. Like, I do my best to avoid certain penalties in certain ways or types, like in the game.
Yeah.
But I mean, somehow it just always finds me. So no, sometimes it bugs me, sometimes it doesn't. But I take it.
Okay, again, Taylor, with the Frost, scored the first goal in PWHL history and, won the title. We're going to get to maybe the future for you, which I think would be cool coming up in a little bit. But your run for Frosty's team, Brad Frost, many goals, assists, points, penalty minutes. It just, watching these highlights and looking at the stat, it's excellent work, Abby, because I just know a lot of work goes into getting as far as you've gotten. But, like I said, Taylor was very complimentary of you. What was it like playing with Taylor at the University of Minnesota?
For sure. Awesome experience. I just want to start by, all those points and stuff doesn't happen without my great team. Everything happens for a reason, and I have a lot to thank them for. So, but yeah, Heisey, I mean, where do I even start? Such a talented person, but I mean, even better just to hang out with, talk to, and even better friend. But yeah, I mean, playing with her for a couple of years was an amazing experience. I've missed it. Obviously we're still on the national team together, which is even better. But she is one heck of a player, one heck of a person. So, had some really, really fun experiences with her and look forward to a lot more memories together.
Abbey Murphy is our guest, plays for the Golden Gophers women's hockey team. She is an Evergreen Park, Illinois native. It may be a dumb question, Abby. Why is there no Division I male or female hockey in Illinois?
That's a great question that I don't know the answer to. It'd be pretty cool. I'm definitely a homebody. Being close to home, they probably should start looking into teams over there. That would be pretty cool, though, but I do not know that answer. Wish I did.
Your first goal was versus the well-respected goaltender, Duluth's Emma Soderberg. So from then to now, you have 99. You get 100, right? Because I'm guessing you don't. It's like, when you perform or when you play, yeah, there's pressure, but not everybody feels it the same way the next person does. And I just have the feeling that pressure doesn't really get to you. So do you think about that ever?
Not really. Pressure's sometimes fun and it's sometimes really scary. I don't really count my points and stuff like that. It's never really been a big thing. It's a team game, and in the end, it's just we're all looking at one common goal, and the pressure's on us as a team, and I think it's been really fun, and taking on that pressure for me is just honestly an opportunity, and I see it as motivation. So it's a blast.
Doing a career covenant catch-up with Abbey Murphy via Twitter again at ABBEY, numbers 18 Murphy. One thing that stuck out of me, not only your skill set and your gritty nature, those celebrations. In the business, we call them sellies. So with all your energy, bring some amazing sellies, and they're all different. You've had 99 different sellies. I mean, you're having the time of your life out there, aren't you?
I am. I'm playing with a smile on my face, just trying to get my team going any way I can, changing it up a little bit. But but yeah, you got to get the energy going somehow, and that's the fun of sports. You know, you got to change it up. Don't get boring. You know.
So just a couple here to close, and I greatly appreciate the time, and love to have you come around the studio sometime, maybe with Taylor, and we can chop it up during the NHL playoffs or whatever. But now that college is winding down for you, Abby, is the PWHL next? And I mean, do you ever think about the Frost selecting you and putting you on a line with Grace Zumwinkle and Taylor Heisey?
Yeah, you know, it's something that I haven't thought about. You know, still in college, still got some decisions to make, but you know, being where my feet are, not making any decisions yet. But yeah, heck yeah, it's in my future. I want to do it. I love it. You know, it's my dream, especially to go play with those girls up there. It would be an incredible opportunity, and I'd absolutely love to do it. You know, it's really cool what the P-Dub's accomplished already, and being a part of something like that is just once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So I can't wait for that. And if I did get to play with Zum and Heisey, it'd be like the good old days. Back to that. No, it'd be awesome. But looking forward to what the future holds for sure.
Hey, tear up the Buckeyes tomorrow, okay? And I'm sure we'll do this again. Thank you very much for saying yes, despite being like, who, what, where, why? And I look forward to meeting you in person. Tell Brad Frost, tell Frosty Paul Allen says hi. God bless you, and we'll talk soon, okay?
I will, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Paul.
Yeah,
good luck to you too, man.
Yeah, you're fantastic. See you later. Abbey Murphy with Brad Frost, Golden Gophers women's hockey team, and that concludes 9 to noon. Friday Football Feast tomorrow features Chad Greenway, Adam Schefter, Alec Lewis, and more. So please listen when we rise and shine at 9. Here comes the Con with a wrap on the show.
Big boy's back.
Now, what did I do wrong?
The game is over.
And that's a fact.
Drinking purple Kool-Aid by the gallon, and I'm calling Barrett's up. Let's get Jonathan Allen. Needing inside help, someone to alert the dais, and the answer to our problems could be the ageless Calais. Maybe a pass catcher on the docket. Can we get a good price on Tyler Lockett, or would that be just a bit too offensively greedy? I mean, we already have Naylor, and he's quite speedy. While you were listening to Guerin and relaxing, the Vikings gave $12 million to safety Theo Jackson. Clearly, it was a priority that they sign him, but does that mean goodbye to our guy Cam Bynum? And tomorrow, a charge list presentation. He'll be out camping, peaceful recreation at a South Dakota rest stop, midnight on the clock. The password to his bathroom stall, 3 knocks.
You lucky suckers.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, you know, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.